Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of June 18th to the 24th, though. I'm going to try to see if I can get like a movie review this week, though. A couple things have sort of come up, though, and I'm hoping I could try to squeeze it in for this week, though. And I'm thinking about the possibility of changing when I load up my videos and everything like that. It might be time-wise or anything like that. If I do change it, there will be probably an update on my YouTube page and so forth, though I haven't made anything official at this time. I'm still trying to iron things out and everything like that. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover, including comments made by staff and at Square Enix about the possibility of a remake of Final Fantasy VI, though. The prices for Xbox and Game Pass are apparently going up depending on what part of the world you live in, though. Nintendo surprised us with their direct that they had this week, though, and of course we are looking at basically the FTC taking on the Microsoft Activision deal, as the case has now gone to the US courts, though. And if you're interested in where I got the source of these informations, links will be in the description of this video, so you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 cents. Stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail, though. The first one is Chocobo Grand Prix has been put back up on the Nintendo eShop, as apparently they have removed the microtransactions in that game, though. There were some bit controversies about that, indeed, and supposedly it was removed from certain regions as well. I mean, great that Square Enix has now removed the microtransactions. I think that's good, but at the same time, question is, given some of the controversy surrounding it, though, has the damage been done enough already for that game or something like that? We also do want to talk about is that basically Microsoft has announced that basically that they will change some of their game development and effort, because they want to sort of improve their game development in terms of on par with both what Nintendo and what Sony are doing, which I think is kind of good. I'm hoping if this is the kind of approach Microsoft is approaching, though, my hope is that they also learn from the mistakes that happened with Redfall and everything like that. So we'll have to see if they do, especially with the upcoming release of Starfield and all, which is based on the hype surrounding it. I mean, it does have a very good shot of doing very well, though, but we'll have to wait and see once September 9th comes out and see how well Starfield will do and everything like that, and whether or not Microsoft can really push through basically, you know, changing in terms of their development and their approach, though. We also learned that supposedly an exhibit at the Tower of London will have a sword that is basically used in the game Final Fantasy 16, which has come out this week. I just picked up my copy at GameStop last night and everything like that. Probably be playing that game tonight, though. It's an odd promotion, I will admit, to have something like that, especially at the Tower of London in London, England, and all that stuff. But at the same time, it is kind of interesting. Maybe this is a way to get maybe folks, Final Fantasy fans, maybe to come visit the Tower of London or anything like that. It's an odd marketing, I will say, but at the same time, kind of clever a little bit. We'll see if this actually turns out to be something good for the Tower folks who at the Tower of London or not, though. So it's an odd promotion for what Square Enix is doing, but a very interesting promotion at the same time, though. We also learned that supposedly New Zealand regulators are sharing concerns over the Activision Blizzard takeover, though. This stems from what apparently has to do with, you know, the cloud gaming side of the situation, to be exact. This is very similar to what we saw with the concern with the CMA, which blocked the deal in England, and what we saw with the European Union, which, however, approved the deal and all. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens from what New Zealand regulators are going to say, though. It will be interesting if they go the route of what the CMA decision made, or what the European Union made. Though. So supposedly they delayed it to, I think, like around July 5th, if I'm if I got the date correctly. If not, let me know in the comment section, though. But again, it's going to be very interesting to see what the regulators in New Zealand and Australia are going to basically say about the ABK deal, although they could be looking at the FTC court that's been going on right now. We also learned that supposedly that Metal Gear, there are rumors about the possibility of a Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 2. Supposedly rumors point to it as Metal Gear Solid 4, 5, and Peace Walker could be in this collection, though. Now, obviously, nothing has been confirmed at this time. It is still a rumor at this moment, though. So we'll have to wait and see whether this rumor turns out to be true or not. My guess is that I'm sure Konami will probably be looking to see how the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1 does. And if it does well enough, it might convince them to do something like this. Plus, it would be nice to see Metal Gear Solid 4 not be confined to just the PS3 and everything like that. Speaking of the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1, though, apparently the Switch version, if you're planning to get the Switch version, though, prepare to be disappointed, because apparently it's going to require several downloads to basically put it in, though. And that might turn some folks off, for those who are thinking of getting the physical version of the Metal Gear Solid Collection, though. We'll see if this has an impact on the sales of the Switch version or not, though. But I can see how the requirement downloads for Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1 for the Nintendo Switch might turn some folks off, though. And finally, last but not least, though, basically Todd Howard was interviewed with, I believe, kind of funny games, and they were talking about the upcoming, Starfield and everything like that. It got a little bit more into the details in terms of, basically, like the base building, the combat, everything about it, though. I am still cautiously optimistic about that game, though, to be exact, though. I want the game to succeed, though. It has the potential, but Bethesda could shoot themselves in the foot, though. They did this before with Fallout 76, to be exact, though. So we'll have to wait and see, though. But again, I am cautiously optimistic about it, though. It is coming to day one on Game Pass, so like I said before, if for some reason Starfield turns out to be a bad game, at the very least, I don't have to worry that I just blew $70 or anything like that, since it's going to be on Game Pass and all. And finally, in the movie and TV show side of things, though, we do have a report from, I think last week that I talked about, that rumors about basically Illumination doing a Zelda movie. Well, the head of Illumination came out and said that there were no plans at this time for a Zelda movie or anything like that, though. I mean, obviously, even if this rumor was true, though, I still am sort of mixed on the idea of Illumination's handling a Zelda movie, since I consider Zelda seem to be a bit more, like I said before, a bit more for an older audience than, say, what the Mario movie is. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see Zelda in the big screen or on a streaming service at some point down the road. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like Illumination will be handling a Zelda movie anytime soon, though. We also learned that basically report that director of John Wick, though, has been confirmed to direct the upcoming live-action Ghost of Tsushima, though, which is in heavily development, though. So apparently that certainly is great for John Wick fans or those who enjoyed the John Wick movies, though. We'll see how well this one does, though. I know there was some mixed response to Uncharted, though, but people did enjoy The Last of Us on HBO Max, now called Max, though. So we'll see how this one does, however. We also learned that supposedly Elements and Spider-Man Spideyverse might be doing well at the box office. Meanwhile, Flash seems to have not done as well as some folks have seen so far, so there might be an upset that happened on Wednesday, though. We'll see what happens over the weekend to see how everything goes with those movies, to be exact, though. And last but not least, Deadline is reporting that, unfortunately, Paramount Plus has canceled several shows, including Grease, Rise of the Pink Lady, Star Trek Trilogy, The Game, and Queen of the Universe. This follows basically other networks like Disney Plus that pulled a plug on this Willow series, though, which sadly I did not get the chance to watch, though, and I think that is very unfortunate, to be exact, that they are pulling some of these shows, even if the shows didn't do well. It's almost similar to what Netflix does, where they kind of pull shows even if they're popular and doing very well and everything like that. So it is a little bit unfortunate indeed, though. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part now done, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with the FTC versus the ABK deal, Activision Blizzard, the Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, as day one of the courts seem to be going in and everything like that. Now, I'm sure all eyes for a lot of people who have been watching this, including myself, all eyes are going to certainly be on what the FTC judge is going to rule on this, since supposedly this case may last a couple of days, but we'll have to wait and see if it goes longer or not. But we do have an idea of who is going to be basically at this case and all. In one of the articles, the first one from Reuters, it indicates that here's what they had to say at the time being when this was published June 20th. It says, quote, Microsoft's CEO Nadella, Satay Nadella, and Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick are among the witnesses planning for a 5-day evaluation hearing set to begin this week on the Federal Trade Commission's legal bid to block the deal, according to a court filing on Tuesday. The FTC is seeking a premature injunction to block Microsoft from completing its $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Microsoft has argued that if the courts grant the injunction, it will effectively kill the deal, which has a termination date of July 18th and contains a $3 billion termination fee that Microsoft would have to pay, though there's been some reports back and forth about how they could extend beyond that deadline and all, so it's been some back and forth on that part. The hearing will begin July 22nd and progress through July 29th and all. It also points out that the other people who testify as well is 2 executives of NVIDIA Corp, though. Microsoft Chief Financial Officer Amy Hood, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, and Microsoft Gaming CFO Tim Strata are also scheduled to testify as a number of expected witnesses, though. And in an article from basically from The Verge, though, let's see if I can update this a little bit, though. They have recapped basically some of the stuff Phil Spencer has said when he was there. They have a picture of him in his suit, though. And here's what he said when he testified in today's court hearing as of the recording of this video. They broke it down as this. The FTC questioned Spencer about Nintendo Switch, FPS, teraflops, and lots more. Phil Spencer is asked whether Xbox lost the console war, to which he responded that the console war is a social construct and he doesn't want to count the community out, but that Xbox is in third place. Sony is aggressively competitor to that, spending its revenue on doing things to try and reduce Xbox survival on the market, says Spencer. Spencer says Sony is actively signing third-party games to skip our platform as he is questioned over Microsoft acquiring exclusive content. Microsoft has thought about skipping PlayStation for Activision games and even considered making Minecraft Dungeon Xbox exclusive. Sony held back PS5 dev kits, which put us behind on our development for Minecraft on PS5, said Spencer. An internal email chain between Xbox Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, and Phil Spencer revealed how Microsoft planned to talk about Bethesda's acquisition as making Xbox stronger. Phil Spencer won't confirm Elder Scrolls 6 is an Xbox exclusive, and it sounds like it's still many, many years away. Microsoft won't degrade Call of Duty on PlayStation, said Spencer, and Spencer swear under oath he won't pull Call of Duty from PlayStation, no. So, again, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how far, what the judge rules on this case. I'm very curious to see what they rule on this one, though. I still am more than can't believe that the deal will more than likely go through. I could be wrong, and the judge could rule the other way. I mean, we've had surprises before. The CMA blocking the deal in the UK was kind of a surprise for a lot of folks, despite earlier report that suggested that seemed to indicate that they were going to rule in favor of it. So a lot of surprises can happen, though, and we will have to see how this judge is going to rule, whether they side with the FTC or not. Although supposedly there have been stories that the FTCs have had similar cases like this before and have failed in the past. So Maybe they'll fail on this one, maybe they'll win on this one though. I am still mixed on the FTC's approach on this, on the ABK deal, however, because while I agree that this deal needs to be looked at very carefully, I don't 100% agree with Lyndon Khan's push on being hell-bent to blocking this deal though. I just don't buy that argument of the FTC on this one, however. So overall, very interesting to see what's going on with this case. Very interesting to see some of the people testify. I'm very, very curious to see how the judge is going to rule on the FTC taking on Microsoft over Activision Blizzard, however, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one has to do with the June 2023 Nintendo Direct that happened. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the Nintendo Direct that happened this week. Now, up to this point, before the Direct happened though, there were rumors going back and forth about if Nintendo was doing a Direct or not though. I mean, we had Sony did their showcase, Microsoft did their showcase, other companies like Capcom, Ubisoft did their showcase though, and there was some rumbling here and there, but nothing concrete until like around this week that Nintendo made it official that they were doing their Nintendo Direct, and was going to be a 40-minute Direct though. And after watching the Direct on Wednesday, I will say this was a very good Direct for them. Not perfect, but certainly a good Direct with a couple surprises though that I didn't think that they were going to announce though. So what I'm going to do is going to break this down into what I like and of course what I didn't like, mixed, or not sure about. The first one has to do with the fact that this Direct definitely focused on a lot of Mario games that were coming out, and there were some remakes to even some brand new ones though. The brand new ones though, we had basically one based off of Princess Peach. We don't have a name for a title or much about it. It looks a little bit 3D. It's 3D to a certain degree though, but we don't have a whole lot of information at this time. We'll see if it's going to be different than the one that was back during the Nintendo DS called Super Princess Peach. And of course, a brand new 2D Mario game under the name of Super Mario Bros. Wonder though. This one I think was a great way to sort of close it out to a certain extent. I definitely liked the visuals to the game. It looked really neat. And basically, obviously, it's going to support up to like say 4-player co-op, kind of similar to the new Super Mario Brothers in a way though, although like I mentioned, visuals, they look actually really, really good. I would say I would put them almost on the same league as say the 2D visuals were in Rayman Origins and Legends to Donkey Kong Return and Tropical Freeze. But the big selling point had to be the Wonder Flower, in which once Mario touched that, basically the world changes to a certain extent. We see levels like certain platforms pop up, like to like a pipe kind of like crawling like a caterpillar, to a silhouette scene where Mario is sort of stretched and then stretched back and all. So I am very curious to see how this Wonder Flower is going to play out in pretty much the levels in Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and I'm wondering if it's going to be in all the levels or in some of the levels or not. So that one definitely is catching my attention. It will probably be, for what I understand, it will be out this fall, so that's definitely on my radar. The other one is, of course, a remake of the 1996 classic Super Mario RPG's Legends of the Seven Stars. It's nice that this game is getting attention, along with several other characters like Milo and Gino, if I'm saying their name correctly. I am kind of curious to see if there's going to be any changes in this one, whether they're going to break maybe possibility of any content that didn't make it into the original 1996 release, to any shakeup or any changes to the battle system. But based on what was shown during the trailer, it looks like it's going to remain faithful to the source material, but we'll see if they do make any kind of changes or not. But that's definitely one on my radar. I also hope that this opens the idea of maybe a actual sequel to Super Mario RPG's Legends of the Seven Stars, to even the possibility of maybe Paper Mario, the Thousand Years Door is making its way to the Switch. There have been rumors about that. To even maybe the Mario and Luigi RPGs that started out on the Game Boy Advance, and then we had entries on the DS and the 3DS, though. Hopefully maybe we'll see those games make their way over to the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, they showed off Mario Kart's booster courses, some new courses, though. I mean, obviously, they're milking Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to death. And then finally, on the Mario side, they showed off the fact that they will be porting over Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, or Luigi's Mansion 2, over to the Nintendo Switch, which is certainly nice, though. I'm hoping this opens the door to maybe bringing the original Luigi's Mansion over to the Nintendo Switch as well. But in either case, I am kind of pleased that they're bringing Dark Moon over. But yeah, there were a ton of Mario games they announced, and I definitely thought that was really good. The other thing to talk about is the fact that we had more details about Pikmin 4, which is certainly nice, and obviously some new features such as the ability that you could do nighttime situations with these nighttime Pikmins, to this dog creature that you will be your companion that you will be working with, though. On top of that, they announced that Pikmin 1 and 2 will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. I believe it's out now digitally with a physical version coming out. So basically, they're almost like bringing the entire Pikmin trilogy over to the Nintendo Switch. That is definitely a good thing. So Pikmin fans should be pleased with what they announced during this Direct. Of course, we learned about several RPGs, although these were kind of leaked early, though, and now they've been officially confirmed. We now know that Persona 5 Tactica is making its way over to the Nintendo Switch. That's been confirmed. And Star Ocean, the second story R, will be making its way also to the Nintendo Switch. This is certainly nice. I'm glad to see some of the older, somewhat Square bringing some of their older RPGs, although this one seems to be a mixture of almost kind of like the HD 2D thing that, you know, we've seen Square Enix done with games like Live Alive, Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy and all. But either way, that's certainly fine by me. That I'm definitely keep an eye on that one, and Tactica as well. We also saw a brand new IP. This one is from the folks who worked on Sonic Mania, and it's going to be published by Private Division, and that is, we basically saw what is Penny's Big Breakaway, though. And judging from what they showed, it looked like a throwback to basically some of the early 3D platformers, ranging from somewhat from the PlayStation N64 to the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox era. So that one definitely I'm going to keep an eye on, though. I like those 3D platformers and all. They did announce Vampire Survivor, which will be making its way over to the Nintendo Switch. That is certainly is very interesting to see that game make its way over there. And then, of course, another big one in my view was the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 and the Batman Arkham Trilogy are coming to the Nintendo Switch. That is going to be a very, very interesting port to see how the Arkham Trilogy is handled on the Switch, and the fact that we're getting the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, which has Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and also the ones from the MX system, and of course, you know, the NES as well. So definitely sounds like a very good collection indeed for the Metal Gear Solid collection. That certainly is good. So nice surprise to see the Arkham Trilogy and the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection make their way over to the Nintendo Switch. As far as what I didn't like or mix or not 100% sure, this one has to do with the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection and the Batman Arkham Trilogy. As exciting as it is to see this Metal Gear Solid Collection come to the Nintendo Switch, unfortunately we now know about how the physical version is going to look like, and apparently it doesn't seem to be that great of a news. We are learning about how there's going to be several downloads to get these games, though, so not all of them are going to fit on the cartridge, which may or may not turn off some folks, though. And of course, the Batman Arkham Trilogy, there's still some questions about that port, to be exact, though. There's ranging from some people that weren't happy with the way Arkham Knight was optimized, to how these games are going to run on the Nintendo Switch, and what approach are they going to be taking. Is it going to be the impossible trying to put 3 games into one cartridge, which I have my doubts, to is we're going to see basically these games sold separately, or is it going to be one game in one cart and the others have to be downloaded, or is it going to be, an empty box with basically a piece of paper with a download code or anything like that, which by that point you might as well just go to the Nintendo eShop. So there's still some questions about how some of these ports are being handled though, including the Arkham Trilogy. However, it is worth pointing out though that we now know that the Arkham Trilogy is being handled by Turn Me Up Games, though. For those who may not be familiar, they are the ones that handled basically the Borderlands Legendary Collection for the Nintendo Switch. So for the Arkham Trilogy, it does give me some hope on it, though, but not still concerned, but some hope on this one, though. So there's still some questions about these ports, though, that I think this is good, but some questions somewhat remain about these two ports, the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection and the Batman Arkham Trilogy. The other thing is that, unfortunately, we did not see any announcement of Persona 3 Reload, though, despite the fact that there were rumors going back and forth indicating that it was still coming to the Nintendo Switch or not. Obviously, it wasn't announced, so either A, the game isn't coming to the Nintendo Switch, or B, it is, but we might have to hear, it might come at a later date. So, but still, basically, no Persona 3 Reloaded shown during this presentation. And last but not least, though, Metroid and Zelda fans unfortunately might be a bit disappointed with how this Direct was. For Zelda, I mean, we did get some announcements of new amiibos coming, Princess Zelda and basically Ganondorf, though, were being announced and will be available, which is great. But those who were hoping for any kind of DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, or hoping for Wind Waker or Twilight Princess make their way over to the Nintendo Switch are unfortunately going to be disappointed because they did not announce that at all, which is unfortunate because I would have loved to see those games make their way over to the Nintendo Switch. And finally, Metroid fans unfortunately did not get any announcement either, though. We know that Metroid Prime 2 and 3 are coming to the Nintendo Switch, but nothing was really shown, nor was anything shown about Metroid Prime 4. So yeah, Zelda fans and Metroid fans probably were somewhat disappointed with this Direct if you were hoping for any real big announcements or anything like that. Overall, I would say this was still a pretty good Direct in my view. Nintendo did wow us with a couple of surprises, though, especially with tons of Mario game information, though. Pikmin fans obviously are going to enjoy what was announced, though. I do think some RPG fans will probably enjoy some of the announcements like Star Ocean, The Second Star R, Persona 5 Tactica. Some hidden surprises like Vampire Slayer and Penny's Big Breakaway, and of course Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 and Batman Arkham Trilogy coming to the Switch. So I think there were some good announcements. Still mixed on how these ports are going to be handled, and I think given how the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection was handled, I think some people may not like what Konami's doing. Not hearing Persona 3 Reload be announced is probably a disappointment, and Zelda and Metroid fans probably were disappointed with some of the announcements or no announcements at all. So yeah, there were some things I liked, some things I didn't like, but I will say the takeaway from this is that it was still a pretty good Nintendo Direct, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 3. And this one has to do with basically the price for Xbox console and Game Pass seem to be going up. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Xbox and Game Pass and the recent report that has come out that basically, sadly, they have increased the prices, though. Now, since 2017, when Game Pass was launched, though, at this point, it's pretty much remained steady at its price despite some ups and downs we've seen, with our economy and, of course, currently with inflation. And, however, we have seen, things have started to increase, though. Sony started to push out, video games costing $70. We've seen other streaming services like Netflix and others sadly raise the price for, their subscription service. And For certain points, though, Microsoft has kind of held off on doing that until recently, where it seems to be now, yep, I know some people, while some people are going to hate this, it's pretty much has happened. Microsoft has now raised the price for Game Pass and even consoles, though, although some of that will depend on the region and the world you live in, though. In an article from The Verge, it said, quote, Microsoft is increasing its Xbox Series X price in most countries in August apart from the US, Japan, Chile, Brazil, and Colombia. The Xbox maker is also increasing the monthly price of its Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription for the first time next month, which will see the base Game Pass subscription console move up from $10.99 a month from its original $9.99 a month. So it's going to be $11 a month than it was before when it was $10 a month. According to the head of communication for Xbox, they are saying, quote, we've held on our price for consoles for many years and have adjusted the price to reflect the competitive condition in each market. Xbox Series X consoles pricing will largely match the price hike Sony announced for the PS5 last year, with the Xbox Series X moving from £479.99 in the UK to $549.99, I think, euros across most European markets. CA, I think Canada will have it at basically at $649.99 Canadian dollars, and Australia will have it at $799, I think, and 99 cents, or Australian in Australia starting August 1st. The Xbox Series S price will not be adjusted in any market, remaining at $299.99, basically $300. While the Xbox Series X price adjustment has been expected after Sony's move last year, Xbox chief Phil Spencer also hinted in October that pricing for subscription won't hold forever. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and Game Pass for console prices will increase starting July 6th. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will move from $14.99 per month to $16.99 per month. Basically, they're moving, it looks, if I'm reading this correctly, they're moving it up to $2. The base Xbox Game Pass for console price, as I mentioned, from $9.99 a month to $10.99 a month. Microsoft is not changing the PC Game Pass pricing, though. If you're an existing Game Pass monthly subscriber, then these new recurring prices won't take effect until August 13th or September 13th in Germany. New Xbox Game Pass members will see the new price immediately after July 6th. If you're subscribed to Xbox Game Pass through a yearly code, the new pricing won't take effect until you go to renew your subscription. Most markets will be affected by the Xbox Game Pass price increase, with the exception of some Game Pass console prices, which will remain in the same in Norway, Chile, Denmark, Switzerland, and Saudi Arabia. Microsoft hasn't changed its Xbox game prices since launching the subscription in 2017, and the company is keen to stress that this isn't related to the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. These Game Pass price adjustments are not related to Activision Blizzard deal and are intended to match local market conditions. Microsoft Xbox subscription change follows a general trend in price hikes over the past couple of years for entertainment subscription. As I mentioned, Netflix raised their price again last year following a gradual price hike in recent years, and Disney Plus and Hulu saw a steep price hike last year too. Apple Music and Spotify have both increased in price in most markets in recent years. Nintendo has not yet adjusted its Switch Online subscription service since launching in 2018, and Sony has only just updated its own PlayStation Plus subscription last year with a new PlayStation Plus Essential, Plus Extra, and Plus Premium subscription for PlayStation owners. So I can understand why some folks may not be happy with this price increase, and yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow, to be exact. But at the same time, it isn't really shocking to basically see this happen. A lot of it is, some of it is inflation, some of it is where the market is and everything like that right now. So it's going to suck for some folks, though. Me personally, I'm subscribed to Game Pass, but I do it through when I buy those cards, though, those 3 months subscription, and I just buy those and just renew it like that, though. That's how I've been approaching Game Pass since I've gotten my Xbox Series S back in 2020. So I'm personally not as bothered by this, but I can understand how some folks are going to be turned off about this. Whether this will see people leave Game Pass or not, that remains to be seen, though. I mean, we've seen people, Netflix change their password sharing thing, and so far, based on what I've been reading, it hasn't had a negative impact. So this may or may not have an impact depending on where you live and all. So overall, I would say it's probably not the news everyone wants to hear, though. It is a bit unfortunate that this is happening, that Microsoft is raising the price for their Xbox console and Game Pass subscription service. However, at the same time, the writing was kind of on the wall, and for a lot of us, it was kind of expecting this was going to happen sooner or later. Whether this will have a negative impact on Game Pass in general or on the sales of Xbox consoles, that, however, remains to be seen at this time. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with comments made in regards to the possibility of a Final Fantasy VI remake. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at comments making in regard of maybe another Final Fantasy remake, though. One of the things we have seen Square has done lately is we have seen them do remakes of some games and all. We've seen with the remakes of, the upcoming Dragon Quest III is getting a remake with the HD 2D remake. Recently, Live Alive got a remake, though. But probably the biggest one we've seen so far has to be the Final Fantasy VII remake, though, of basically the classic 1997 game originally released on the original PlayStation. And that one definitely has been doing very well. With have Part 2 is coming up and Part 3 is in development, though. But recently, we've also been hearing rumors about the possibility that Final Fantasy IX could get the remake treatment. But there has been some folks been wondering if could something like, say, Final Fantasy VI get the remake treatment, though, which originally appeared on the Super Nintendo. I think here in the West, we kind of called it Final Fantasy III, although I could be off on the numbers or anything like that. Well, a question about this was asked, and the folks at Square Enix sort of responded to this question. In an article from Video Game Chronicles, it reads that, quote, during an official roundtable discussion to celebrate the 35th anniversary of the Final Fantasy series, Final Fantasy brand manager and Final Fantasy VII remake producer addressed the topic of a potential Final Fantasy VI remake. As translated by Genkai-JPN, the producer says, I think Final Fantasy VI remake would be difficult. Final Fantasy VII Remake is not yet finished, so I'm not able to think about it, but there are many Final Fantasy VI fans inside the company, and they often ask me when a remake is 6. The Final Fantasy creator, who also participated in the roundtable discussion, then reportedly explains that a remake of Final Fantasy VI would be harder to do because as a pixel-based game rather than a polygon one, it would be more work to change the story and reimagine the game as a 3D experience. However, he did then ask him, would you release it a little sooner? This caused, the person in charge of Final Fantasy and the producer to laugh, saying it isn't easy. But they point out Final Fantasy VI was originally released on the Super NES in 1984 before being ported over to the PlayStation in 1999 and Game Boy Advance in 2006. Most recently, it was included as part of a Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster collection alongside remastered versions of Final Fantasy 1 and 5. If the reports are to believe, a Final Fantasy IX remake is more likely than a Final Fantasy 6 one earlier this month. Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb claimed, "I will say I've heard very recently once again Final Fantasy Remake is real and that it's real and happening." Gamatsu subsequently reported that a Final Fantasy IX Remake is currently in development too. In some ways, I kind of agree to a certain extent, considering the fact that Final Fantasy 6 and 7 in terms of visuals are a bit different though. Obviously, like you said, Final Fantasy 7 was more polygon and all, where Final Fantasy 6 is basically pixelated. So I can see where there could be some challenges to it. Do I think they could pull it off? I think it's not out of the realm of possibility. Obviously, they have their plate full. They're dealing with, the Final Fantasy VII trilogy, and we know that Part 2 is in Part 2. They're doing that one, and Part 3 is going to be in development though. As far as the Final Fantasy IX remake though, I wouldn't be against that. However, I would like to have seen them do Final Fantasy VIII as the next remake. At least that's how I would have liked to see it. But in either case, though, it's clear that there is an audience that would love to see Final Fantasy VI get the remake. It doesn't sound like it's going to be happening anytime soon, at least at the moment, though, but it certainly sounds like it's not out of the realm of possibility that it could happen. Would they have to change some things around? Again, that is a possibility, but time will ultimately tell if that comes to light or not. So overall, I would say, given the fact that Square Enix has certainly remade some of their old games and have done a pretty good job with them, I would say Final Fantasy VI is definitely not out of the realm of possibility of getting the remake treatment. That said, though, it does sound like it might be a while before that happens, though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of June 18th to 24th, 2023. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What is your thought about the FTC versus Microsoft over the Activision Blizzard deal in courts, though? Based on information that's coming out from the courts, do you think Microsoft has a strong case? Do you think the FTC has a strong case in any way? What are your thoughts about the Nintendo Direct, though? Do you think this was a very good Direct? Do you think this was a bad Direct? Do you like the idea this was a little bit more Mario focused than it was maybe in past Directs in any way? Were there games that you are happy they announced? Were there games that you wish that they announced during this Direct? What are your thoughts about the Xbox console and Game Pass getting a price hike? Do you think that this was bound to happen at some point? Do you think are you concerned about this? Are you not concerned? Does this bother you in any way? Does it not bother you? And what are your thoughts about the possibility of a Final Fantasy VI remake? Do you think they should remake Final Fantasy VI? And if so, do you think they should take the approach similar to what they're doing with the Final Fantasy VII remake in any way? Do you think 6 should be remade? Just like how we're seeing rumors about the possibility of a Final Fantasy IX being remake? And do you think Final Fantasy 8 should by any chance deserve the remake treatment? Do you agree with what I say in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I will appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!